FightShow.tv fans, welcome back to another show. I'm with my co-host Costa. How you doing, Costa?
I'm good, Alonzo. How are you?
I'm great, and I feel so good because the fight that I saw on CBS with Strikeforce was one hell of a show, and I can only say one name: the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko. Wow, that's all I have to say. Costa, tell me some news on this one.
There's a reason he's the king of MMA. There's a reason there's such a mystique around him. Everyone's talking about him. The man, he comes back and he wins.
All the time.
He'll find a way. He'll weather the storm. He's the most complete mixed martial artist out there. Whether it's his striking, his jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, his sambo.
He's the Mike Tyson of boxing in the MMA. That's how I see him. I mean, he's got this aura about him, and he doesn't phase out. He doesn't panic. He doesn't show you any emotions. He does his business. He goes. He does the work. Leaves. Same emotion. Doesn't talk about
that's what he is.
His opponents.
He's just a fighter.
He's a beautiful fighter.
He's a fighter. He's fighting 24/7, and I've heard this before in interviews, and I've heard it in the documentary about him. Every sport is defined by a fighter. Like you said, Mike Tyson was boxing.
Right.
You have Federer in tennis. You have Wayne Gretzky in hockey. Fedor Emelianenko is MMA, and rightfully so. He deserves the title, best pound for pound in the world.
I mean, I've been following what Dana and the UFC and all his comments on his blogs, which I really like watching. It's really fun, by the way, guys. If you want to go and check it out, Dana White's blogs on YouTube. It's great. I really respect his opinion. I listen carefully to what he says, but at the end of the day, people can, Dana or anybody else can say whatever they want about Fedor, but he hasn't lost. He's fought some crazy competition. People say, well, he hasn't fought lately anybody. Well, he fought Arlovsky, who was an ex-heavyweight UFC champion. He fought Tim Sylvia, same thing.
And destroyed both of them.
Destroyed both of them, and he's fought anybody and everybody in Pride. And I don't think a few years afterwards the guy has diminished any of his skills, because he practices sambo. Even when there's not a fight, he does this on a regular basis. He practices and he does competition, even off-season, in-season. He's always training.
He's a 24/7 fighter, and you know what? Props to him. I wish that deal could have been done and he would have came to UFC.
He will.
We would have loved to see him match up with Brock Lesnar.
I'm telling you, this fight has to happen because the fans wants to see it. Dana is going to make it happen. He's going to put all the marbles on the line. He's going to put the money. Hopefully,
it might be a few years down the line, because right now he's in contract with Strikeforce. But like we said, and the thing is, Brett Rogers, people were criticizing he's not that well known. Brett Rogers is a monster. I think this kid did impress me, despite the fact that he lost. I think he has a big and bright future in MMA, and I think he could take on a lot of the top guys in the heavyweight world, whether it's UFC or Strikeforce.
100%. You know what? You know what's amazing about him, about Brett Rogers, is that the guy truly was not impressed that much with Fedor. He almost has this demeanor about him that he comes in, he believes so much he's going to knock out people that he felt invincible during that fight, and that's what's incredible about him.
He even said it though, even himself, like you saw, sometimes he was holding back because he knows that Fedor has that power to counter him, and ultimately he got knocked out with one of those big Fedor punches.
The guy has quick hips. He gets back up on his feet, and for a big guy, he's really, really quick.
Yeah, he's quick, and you know what? Up until a year ago, he was changing tires. He was doing MMA part-time. He's only been training full-time MMA for 1 year. Give this kid a few years, I think he's going to cause major damage in the heavyweight scene.
Well, at one point I've seen some of the YouTube videos where he actually was trying to get a fight with Kimbo Slice, and I personally think he would beat Kimbo Slice right now with the skills that he has on the ground and his heavy hands, very heavy hands. But let's talk about Fedor Emelianenko once more, because this guy gets me excited. My blood gets all...
Let's recap the fight a bit. Off the bat, first punch of the fight, jab right in Fedor's face. His nose starts gushing blood.
Some people say he actually might have cut him.
It was a cut, yeah. They thought it might have been broken.
It was a little cut that created all this blood, but Fedor does not panic for him. It's like it's almost like a motivator.
He's been in these situations before. Like when Kevin Randleman dropped him on his neck, and we all thought we were going to have the first death in MMA. He comes back less than a minute later with a Kimura,
and he's been hurt I think once more before, but he knows how to recuperate really quickly. And that's his amazing skill.
Rogers was landing some big punches, and there was a point in the first round, Brett Rogers had him down and started ground and pounding him, and he landed a good 3-4 punches solidly, which I think most other fighters would have been out. And Fedor just got him in the armbar. Of course, Rogers got out of it, but right there, you know.
Well, because of the cage, he could have gotten in the armbar, but I think because of the cage, it interfered with basically.
But you saw Fedor.
Basically, his Fedor move, and that's why he got him. He actually had his butt on his face.
Yeah, but when he was getting hit, you could tell he's thinking what to do, and he got him in that armbar.
Always thinking. He never panics. And when he got back up in the Fight Camp 360, they showed Fedor's coach, and he was looking at the tapes of Brett Rogers, and he noticed that Brett Rogers came down with his hands once in a while, and he said, that's it. He knew that there was a question of timing when Brett Rogers would put down his hands, and then he knew that Fedor had to come in with that perfect right hand.
Beautiful overhand right on the chin.
Not just the hand, the whole body.
He put his entire body weight into that punch.
His whole body came into that punch.
I wouldn't want to be hit with that punch. Let's just put it at that.
And his movement, as he was hitting Brett Rogers prior to the knockout, how he just manhandled the guy, and he just, with his balance, just rolls him over, and that's the sambo that he's been practicing that helped him to do that. It's incredible. This guy is a phenom, and I don't care what anybody says. This guy's the best fighter, and I don't see him being able to lose to Brock Lesnar. There's no way.
I don't see him losing anytime soon.
I don't see him losing to Brock Lesnar or any other fighter for quite a few years now.
All right.
Let's move on, because
let's get into.
We got to talk about other things, obviously.
Yeah, of course. We have a UFC 105 coming up this weekend. It'll be the first time the UFC event is going to be on Spike TV, no pay-per-view.
And they're going against the big fight, Manny Pacquiao against Miguel Cotto. That's quite a mistake, because
well, you know what? And the card's not that strong as well. It's headlined by Randy Couture versus Brandon Vera.
Two great fighters.
Good fighters. Randy Couture dropped down in weight. Right. He realized that this stage in his career maybe he'd be more competitive at 205. Brandon Vera, who was also heavyweight, has dropped down over the last few years. Great young fighter.
Solid fighter.
He was an up-and-comer, had a few losses. And you know what? The thing is, for Brandon Vera, this fight is, if he wins, he's not going to get that much credit, because Couture is up there in age. Of course, he's a legend. He's defied the odds many times. And if Couture wins, no one's going to be surprised, because like we said, he's one of those guys you can't. 46 years old.
I think this fight is more of building up again some momentum for Randy Couture, so he can go and be in the mix in the UFC, because they need really good heavyweights.
Couture and Vera both want to be in the championship picture at 205. Right. So whoever wins gets one step closer. And you know what? We're going to have to wait and see what happens.
I think obviously Couture should win this fight. What is your prediction?
You know what? I don't think it might be that easy. I think Brandon Vera is a good striker. If he connects with something, he might be able to knock out Couture.
After the performance that he did with Nogueira.
But I have said I will never go against Couture. And you know what?
Except when Nogueira fought him.
Yeah, that time. But I don't know. I'm Couture. I'm saying Couture.
I'm going for Couture as well.
And also another fight, we have Mike Swick and Dan Hardy facing each other in a welterweight showdown, with the winner being guaranteed a championship title shot against the man
GSP, George St. Pierre. And this is the only reason I'm interested in that fight, to see who's going to actually pull it off and get the shot.
Mike Swick, like they call him Quick Swick, because so many times he's finished off opponents in the first 20-30 seconds of the fight. Right. He comes out strong. He does have wins over Joe Riggs, Ben Saunders, even local David Loiseau. You know what? And you know what? Dan Hardy, he has 3 wins in the UFC. 2 of them were split decisions. You know what I mean? Anything could happen in MMA, and Dan Hardy does have some big hands, but I do think Mike Swick will take it, and then ultimately go on to face George St. Pierre,
and he will lose.
And he will get spanked.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes in the welterweight division these days. And finally, the week after, we have UFC 106. It's going to be a rematch from 2 years ago. Tito Ortiz making his comeback in the UFC against Forrest Griffin.
That's right. And what do you think of this fight, Costa?
You know what? I still think it's going to go like the first one. I think Ortiz is going to take it.
I believe that Tito Ortiz wants to come back in the mix. He's really hungry for this fight. I think he's going to take it, especially after the fight that happened with Griffin.
When he got knocked out by Anderson
Silva. That was a little bit embarrassing, but I mean, Griffin is a warrior. He will come back, but I still think Tito Ortiz is going to pull it off.
And he said he's healthy now. Finally, he got the back injury. He got the surgery, and he's feeling better than ever.
And he's got a lot to prove.
Yeah, exactly. I think Ortiz is going to take it. I'm not counting Griffin out, but I don't know how he is mentally after that big loss, that big knockdown. He was embarrassed. He was hurt.
I think it's going to be a good fight, entertaining. I'm still going with Ortiz, and for that, folks, we're done. And until then, if you want to go and check us out on YouTube, obviously, if you want to subscribe and get your comments to us, if you agree or disagree on any of the subjects we spoke about, or if you want to send us your emails at info@fightshow.tv. And until then, fightshow.tv fans, coming back for more and more.